Coming straight out of Ecamm. This is a jam with the Ecamm fam. Ecamm fam is the name of the jam. This is a jam with the Ecamm fam. Ecamm fam is the name of the jam. This is a jam with the Ecamm fam. It's a jam with the Ecamm fam. This is a jam with the Ecamm fam. Ecamm fam is the name of the jam.
Hold it, stop the music.
Ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen.
Can I please have your attention?
Now showtime. Are you ready? Are you ready for start time?
Let's find out. Ready, let's go.
So, assuming I didn't break anything, you guys can absolutely hear me right now, and we are ready to party. I am Doc Rock, your community manager over here at the Cams of E, and today we are doing a masterclass, and our special guest this week is going to be Mr. Michael Forrest. Yay! I think there should be like rockets and things that go off. There it is. There you go. I finally got the Stream Deck picked to the right one. You know, I know this can't be just me, so I got to confess to the planet. When I switch my profiles in Ecamm Configurator, first of all, automatic sometimes works, sometimes doesn't work because I am forever moving things around, and I go between beta and regular, and it's just kind of goofy. But it's funny, whenever I switch to Configurator, for some reason, they've stacked the, in Stream Deck, they've stacked the pedal profiles above the XL. So I'm always switching profiles on the pedal and then looking at the XL like, what happened? So I just want to know that I can't be alone. I cannot be alone. Please let me know if your machine is as batty as mine. All right, cool. So this morning we're going to get into some things. Really cool, you know, because we're working with somebody who not just developed apps that a lot of people can use for various things, but is an active member of our community and comes in and, you know, he has this same problem I have, like to help out. which can get you in a lot of trouble. So it'd be really cool to go in and see some of the stuff he's working on. And so let me show you. This is where we're going to be referencing. This is squares.tv. This is the website. And you see he got a bunch of cool other apps besides the Shoot app that he's created. Shoot is probably the one that everybody just knows, right? There's the Shoot app. And then this is my favorite, right? And we'll talk about this. I'll explain to you what this is as we get Michael on. And then, of course, my voice. And this is his handsome face. But rather than show you that weird thumbnail, let's just get the actual weird person. Hey, Mike.
Here is my weird face. Hello.
Good morning. Oh, wait. Let's just keep it UK. Cheers.
Cheers. All right, governor. It's super English.
Super funny. What part of the UK are you in?
I'm in London. I'm right in central
London proper. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
All right, so
been here for 20 years. Yeah.
What club in London do you support?
Club. Well, my brother's a football fan.
You're not a footy guy?
I live in Queens Park, so
right.
I guess. But I don't actually know where Queens Park is, so where the stadium is. So you know.
All right, good.
Sorry.
I always got to check. I always got to check because London people can get very divided because it's weird for Americans, right? It's weird for a single city to have like 8 teams, right? But there's a lot. Right, and it's kind of funny to me. Everyone knows in the community, I'm a diehard Manchester fan, so yeah, we'll be okay just because you're on the London side. Well, unless you.
Well, I can say Nottingham Forest because I grew up in Nottingham, and they just
Yeah.
apparently, according to my brother, got promoted to the Premier League, which is
They
apparently
did.
very exciting.
It is indeed very exciting. So yes, I guess one of the first things I have to ask, and I think this is probably the most important question I ask you all day, is I realize that you're a pretty decent like music guy, like you're into music similar to myself, right?
Yeah,
and you actually create music. Me, I just listen to it and mix them on turntables. Okay, so most underrated band of the '80s, go.
I didn't really like 80s music. You know, I'm not that old, but
Why you gotta say it like that?
I don't know, but my guilty pleasure is still Roxette. I don't know if they count as the 80s.
Oh yeah, Roxette does count as the '80s, I believe.
That was like formative. That was the first song I made on my Amiga in Octamed or Med or whatever it was. I made one of those Roxette songs in the computer room at school.
Whoa.
I don't.
So we have a common thing. Like we both got our first media computers were Amigas. I started on Amiga 500 and then I got really good at it. So I worked at an Amiga store and I went to 1000, 3000. I built a metric ton of the original toasters, which is how I became deep part of the video community here in Hawaii because I used to build the toasters. I worked at the Amiga store. And my number one job, which was kind of sucks, was going in and soldering memory into a Commodore 64 to make it a 128. Because remember, you could stack them back in the day. So that was my job, was fixing that and fixing Commodore displays because they always broke.
I never tried that, but like the first times I made a computer do something was our Commodore 64 in the 80s, made it change the color of the little sprites and things. And I was like, Dad, look, I've done this. I know more about this than you do now. Like, and that's kind of where I started, you know.
That's funny. What's crazy is when you think about it, the Commodore, like especially the Amiga line, right? The 64 and 128 were amazing computers, but the Amiga line was so far ahead of everything else that nobody understood it. And a lot of what we do right now actually exists all the way back from like, Amiga 1000, Amiga 3000. It's really funny to me because like, again, I've been in this from way back in the day. And I remember even the AI stuff, which is so big now, Commodore had one of the very early AI apps. I forgot the name of it, begin with an A, of course. And you would like ask it questions and it would answer you back. Now it wasn't vocal yet. Eliza, there you go. You would type in the question and it'd spit the answer back. And we thought that was the coolest thing since sliced bread. But it was like only nerds would understand. All right, okay. So now that I know you're as big a nerd as I am, that's cool.
I could get carried away on this. My Amiga is literally next door. I can see it, my 1200.
What? It's still working?
Yeah. Live stream with it, yeah.
Oh,
512 megabyte hard disk. It's running. It works. Monkey Island 2.
Amazing.
Octamed. Yeah.
That is amazing. All right, cool.
Anyway.
See, your nerd credit just went up by a lot. All right, so what made you decide to get into developing these type of apps that will help live streamers?
Well, I was so I am. I mean, my story is I moved to Berlin in 2015. It was the latest in a series of wanting to try and make it as a musician. I've tried everything at this point, and it is what it is. It's hard to break through, especially if you don't want to do the things you're supposed to do. But I sort of found myself spending a lot of time. I wanted to play a gig every single day, and I booked gigs and I was playing them every so often, but and putting them on. But I discovered streaming, I discovered Twitch, and I realized I could play. I started just playing 2 hours a night, like live music every night. And as part of that, I found myself needing things. So like, I needed to learn about lighting. I needed to learn about cameras, and I was looking in the App Store for something that just because I knew it was really easy to make an app that would just show the camera feed. I've been an iOS developer since. I want to say 2010 or 9. So I kind of knew how easy it was to put together, but I couldn't find one. So I just threw that together and started using that as a camera, and was always amazed how well it worked over AirPlay. But yeah, I tend to, and at the same time I was building myself little chat integrations and bots, and if someone typed certain things, it would make applause play. And so I was just really into it then. So yeah, and I just found I like building these little tools for myself to make the live streams look a bit better and work a bit better, and let me have more cameras was one of the main things as well. So I could have sort of 2 or 3 cameras going and switch between them, and I have a script that automatically switches between, just any way to get the stream looking good, you know. So that was kind of the origin of it, and it was one of the rare times I'd actually checked to see if this thing already existed, looked for it, and I was like, okay, well, this doesn't exist. I'd better just quickly give it an icon and a name and upload it to the App Store, and then kind of forgot about it for 5 years, and then suddenly, it sort of took off on its own, and I discovered there was
because
this
the situation happened and everybody needed it all of a sudden. That's kind of funny. I just realized I should add it to my other phone over here, because my first phone's not connected to the Mac, but this phone is. So I love the fact that in App Store, I know this is not your fault, but I love the fact in App Store you can basically get access to everything. Because, back in the day, like, we had a box of disc or some kind of tape or some little hard drives. We were always loading stuff, and it was obnoxious. So I love the fact that we can get any app on any computer now just by going to your little virtual library and calling whatever I need. So really cool. Yeah. And I find it funny that you always hear people say, well, I needed it, so I made it, right? And you're kind of almost in that boat, but then, sort of not really. It was like, let's solve a problem that that no one's already tackled yet. And then, the right situation happened, and hey, now you're in business. Now, one of my favorites, and we'll come back to shoot, but one of my favorites, because I have talked to people through this, and it's not complicated, but it's complicated. It's I was gonna say something really in trouble, and like, the lady that I live with, not complicated, but extremely complicated. I love the fact, and it's the delay calculator, right? That is brilliant, and your solution for it is super, super simple. But I love the fact that you built that, because I've always sent people to download one of the quality checkers or video checkers, and then record yourself a little bit, and then you got to go into your editor and sort of figure it out. And still, for many people, I might as well be speaking Greek. And so the way you handle it is pretty cool. Let me show you guys this real quick if you haven't seen this yet. You can go over to Michael's site, squares.tv, and then you can launch this little guy right here, and he will walk you through a process, record a little bit of a video where you clap your hands together at the end, and then you upload your file, and this thing will tell you your camera is off by 4 frames. Amazing.
And so if you click on in the first one, there's full Ecamm Live instructions. I've got instructions for OBS as well. But that was a funny one, because I made it, and I just wasn't really happy. I was like, this needs sorting out. But then I forced myself. I think just making the video demonstrate it. I learned a lot from just making a video showing how to use something, rather than trying to make the thing self-explanatory. And I think a lot of people have found a lot of value from that sort of relatively simple little tool. Because I just needed it, and a lot of these things I make just because I'm just sick of firing up Final Cut Pro just to see how many frames I'm off.
Yeah, it's cool here. I just put it in the chat for anyone that needs to check, or you're always concerned. Like, it's a good way to check. And believe it or not, from the way your computer is set up, you might be one thing at the beginning, and it might go off a little bit later, because you're adding things to your process that a lot of people don't realize are weight to your computer, if you will. And so it can drift over time. You can get impedance problems because you laid more cables next to it. You could have power issues. Your computer and your camera just might not like talking to each other for a particular time. So you can go in and double check what you think you already have, especially if people are forever telling you that it's drifting. Now, I will be the first to say, I get a little irritated when people are watching the stream and someone is giving them the most incredible information, and then they're in the chat talking about, oh, well, the audio is drifting. I'm like, they're telling you how to save $10,000 on your car insurance by switching to Geico, and you really care that the frame is off by a second? No, pay attention. Like, the info is better. But I get some people are
matters,
quote unquote distracted. Yeah.
there's a thing. I think there's like studies on this. Like if the audio's out of sync, it makes people 10% less trustworthy seeming. There's stuff like this where if the video isn't right, people do react to it because it's a human face doing something weird. So it's almost like people have these kind of subconscious animal reactions to things. I think when that starts happening.
I'm laughing at you saying the human's face doing something weird. That's my everyday. That's just my face. Oh, that's incredible. All right. And then the other one that you added, which I definitely want to make sure that we take time to cover today because I think it's also extremely cool. Guys, Mr. Michael here has invented this app here called Beat Sheet for the Mac. And this is for all of you people that are like very, very much into getting your run of show correct, things like that. So you can go over again to his website here and you can download Beat Sheet for the Mac. Or if you want to purchase it, you can purchase it for £22.99. I think I said that the correct way.
Yeah.
And then, basically it's really cool, but we'll talk about that a little bit further as we dip in. But I just wanted to make sure that everybody knows what we're going on. So that way you guys don't try to run away because, I don't know, the pot's boiling over. Just let it boil over. You should have made your beverage before you got here. So it's really cool. He does have Discord, India. It's on the, if you go to the squares.tv, you can get into the Discord area.
And the more people that can join, the more people that can join the Discord, the better, I think, because I'm trying to make a bit of a community around. It's not as sort of around the video stuff. I think maybe nerdier. I don't know. I haven't quite figured out what the thing is, but also I'm just reporting what I'm doing every day. I have a little daily stand up for myself and just say what I got done yesterday and what I got done today and things like that. And then there are people asking questions. And it sort of relates to the other thing on the website, which is Fix My Video, where I'm sort of trying to figure out that whole thing as well, try and help people learn all the things I've learned and just start talking to each other. And so the more people, the merrier, really.
Correct. And I think that's one of the greatest things is, as again, it helps out because as they're talking and things like that, it helps you figure out what's missing. But it's like there's, even with all the smarts and whatever that we have, like more brains is just always better. It's just the way it works, right? It's life in the fast lane, so to speak. Why did my phone just do that? Hey, I'm not trying to talk to Michael right now.
It's me.
Go here. It just started making random noises. Okay, Mike, you can't interrupt us, Mike. All right. Tony said that he needed this in his life. This is genius. Thank you, Tony. I appreciate that 100%. Okay, so India asked the question that I knew we were going to get to at some point in time today. I have my take already, but I'm dying to hear your take. So let's read her whole question for the folks playing at home. Okay, with the release of iOS 16 and continuity camera, do you anticipate this will affect the usage of your app Shoot, or B, how will you update the app to make use of it better with continuity?
Very good questions, and obviously, I'll be honest. Like pessimistically, I've always felt like I'm on slightly borrowed time with Shoot because it is quite a straightforward thing to put together. And I knew that once Apple saw that people wanted to use their phone as a camera, that it was gonna. I even sort of thought, because they had the scanner and the other thing, I thought, they're just gonna make it so that you can do that. And it's kind of like it's cool the way they've done it. I think. There's some ways it will find its niche. I think it's going to be the easiest way to just do it. I don't think you're going to be able to get an easier way of doing it. if you get the gear and you've got the right laptop that it clips to, and you've got everything up to date and you've got the latest OS, I think it's going to work well, and I'll probably end up using it for certain situations. It just means Shoot's niche becomes people that want to, maybe aren't on the very latest operating system yet, but also I think maybe I double down on the whole telestrator thing, because Alex Lindsay is a big fan of the drawing feature in Shoot. So maybe Shoot becomes more that way, or because I'm working on some desktop software as well, a little bit here and there as well, and maybe it's about integration with other things. But I mean, you can see from Squares TV, I've been sort of trying to diversify what my offerings while I've got the chance, just to make sure that enough people that I've got some other things going and I'm offering a bit more value. But honestly, I think as soon as someone wants a bit more control over their camera, you're going to be back to wanting to be able to set the ISO and the white balance and things like that. It's going to be more of a pro niche than it was before, and so I'm glad I've done that work to sort of put all that stuff in. And I've got some thoughts around other ideas that I can bring into Shoot. But Shoot's quite a sort of it's quite a fully featured app as it is. But yeah, it's obviously, I can't lie. It was like, oh no, when I saw that announcement yesterday. But at the same time, I thought, it's not going to be everyone straight away, and hopefully, maybe the design of Shoot will end up being more streamlined towards one or two particular use cases rather than the sort of jet. At the moment, I think it's been filling that it's the easiest way to connect in lots of different ways for a while, and also Shoot has really good AirPlay and HDMI support as well. So
right.
That means you can use it with Windows. You can use it, to your Apple TV. You can use it. I know there's a huge chess streamer that I've worked with to get Shoot working well with their IRL backpack, so they can go out into the world, and so they work and they talk to like thousands of people on their stream. And I got Shoot working well for that. So that's another area that it becomes something that's useful in specific situations. And then Apple, I think we find it's almost like Ecamm versus OBS. Ecamm's just very easy for the sorts of things we're doing, like this interview and things like that. Whereas OBS is a bit more sort of like fiddly, but maybe you want to set things up a really specific way. You might kind of fall to that. But I think I tend to prefer Ecamm just because of the friction for getting things done now. So yeah.
And what's funny is because you think that having all of this extra stuff to press is just going to make it better, but no, because sometimes you spend too much time pressing stuff instead of doing what you got to do.
Yeah.
So that's what caused me to switch, and I don't think I ever want to go back. And I know how to press all of those things. I just don't want to. Yeah. It's just not fun.
But I'll say the overhead, like the desk cam thing is pretty special, isn't it? Like I've got my Seath stand in the other room, and I was filming an overhead shot the other day, and it shoots really good for the overhead stuff. But you sort of got to bring in a stand and put it over the thing, and I'm playing on the music gear, and it's just if that actually works as advertised, which I'm a bit like, I can imagine it. You sort of some wobble if the laptop gets knocked, or I'm not sure how stable it's going to be, but we'll see. I was like, what is this witchcraft?
Okay, so as a person who owns a 360 camera, I totally get what they're doing, and it's genius. Yeah. And so here's what's going to matter. Two things I thought of instantly when we got India's question, and India said she didn't like my impersonation of her. I didn't do one yet. Dang it. So hopefully they'll put that into the camera development portion of iOS 16, in which case you would be able to bring some of that into other apps, because Apple always gives you enough, right? So I'm going to put this into context that maybe people can understand. Apple will give you ZV-1 stroke M50 with their camera apps, but if you're looking for something that's a little bit more rich, a little bit more powerful, couple of extra tweaks in that, your ZV-10 or your EOS R, you're not getting that. They just don't do that because the general muggle populace, they don't use that stuff. But whereas we would, because we're doing what we're doing. So there's always going to be room for people like you, because you, like, again, yes, you have the telestration side of it, right? You have the AirPlay side of it, which is just incredible in and of its own, because there's a lot of machines that are AirPlay reflectors. I guess we used to call them reflectors. Yeah, that are AirPlay reflectors that you can use that might otherwise be at its end of life. But you know what? The AirPlay reflector still works, so I can send my Shoot app information over there for something, right? Yeah, there's just a lot more to it. And so I am hoping that they give you guys access to that, because all they're doing is taking the wide angle camera, selecting a portion of the image, and because they know what that camera is shooting, they basically transmogrify it back to a normal image, same as my Insta360 app. The other thing I'm hoping is that now that they showed that it works, hey, Insta360, I'm looking at you. Let me use that camera, because it's a really credible camera. Let me use that camera with the webcams, hook up as my overhead. Oh, good gracious alive. That's just brilliant.
Well, I might. It's almost a challenge for me to see if I can re-implement it as well. Can I write the shader that just distorts it back to how it's supposed to be if they don't give it to you? Like I did that with portrait mode before that came out. I kind of made my own that's in Shoot, but now it just works with the control center portrait mode instead. But that's still in there. So, maybe just one afternoon I'll be like, can I reproduce this effect or not? Let's see what happens. Let's do it for fun.
Let's see. First of all, Rabbi David showed up. Two of my favorite people. What's up, Mr. Rabbi David? Yeah, he said the same thing. Shoot functionality is unique, and Apple isn't going to replicate that. So don't worry. 100%. I agree with that.
Thanks, Rabbi David.
And being able to freeze the frame and then draw is kind of sort of amazing. So yes. And then India said, "Keep working." that was her nice way of saying it. Oh, I love this. If your like button is transparent, click it and make it solid. Here's something to know, people. If you're on mobile right now, YouTube has done some crazy animation with the like button. So if you're on mobile, press the like button and see they changed it a little bit. It's kind of fun. Okay. Does Shoot allow you to use iPhone's cinematic mode?
So I get this question every few days at the moment, and I think the way Apple talk about. So for me, the value of cinematic mode is the depth of field portrait effect, but then it's the face and animal detection within a shot, so that it can rack focus to whatever the point of interest in the scene is. That's really what cinematic mode is. And so I keep asking people when they ask for that, I say, like, how would that be useful in a situation like this? Like, I don't have people coming in and out of the room, or I'm not turning around to look at something behind me. So it's one of those things where I kind of need to understand the idea of it. And then sometimes when I ask people, they want the portrait effect, and I say, okay, well, yeah, you can just enable that in Shoot, and that's good. You've got two options to do it, in fact. And so no, it doesn't do Apple's fancy focus pull effect, but if you can explain how you want to use that, and just drop me an email. And because I'm trying not to add features that doesn't make sense, right, for live streaming. So even that's why I literally implemented recording in Shoot, and then I thought, I cannot think of a good use case for this as a connected camera, and so I just turned it off, and I went, okay, that's a couple of weeks work down the drain. But I just cannot, I don't know how to talk about this in context of live streaming, and so it's kind of the same for cinematic mode. If people are literally, I want to do a stream with a lot of people, or maybe use it in a church or something, where you want to sort of pan around the shot and focus on the points of interest. I don't know. If you can sort of talk to me a bit more, and I'm trying to talk to people as much as I can. If I send you an email, I've typed the email, I've sent it to you. If I say, do you want to get on a call, do an interview? That's me asking. It's not a robot. But I just need to understand a little bit more about what you want from cinematic mode in a live streaming webcam app. And if it makes sense, then I'll make sure that works as well as it can, and the UI for that is as clear as possible. But I just need to understand what the use case is.
Correct. And I can say this. So I think a lot of people also, cinematic happens to be one of these terms that flies around YouTube, and it has a whole bunch of different meanings to a whole bunch of different people, but it's not always the meaning that it really is. So if the goal is to replicate what a cinema camera does, then that's the different thing. That's the really deep depth of field, but also the rack focusing and some of that other stuff. But that doesn't really play into live streaming. That's something that you would do in a sort of recorded function, right? I think for another bunch of people, it means a particular look, right? So if you were looking at the Zoom workshop and you watched Rabbi David and Andy's session, Andy had a flat profile, very filmic That's the term that people should use. That's the proper terminology. If you're looking for that matte look, that filmic look, that what did it say, Scorsese, Aaron Sorkin type look to your footage, that can be easily handled by A, knowing how to use your white balance, B, then in turn going into a flatter profile, and then properly adding gamma, color correction, and the above to bring it back to a normal look that humans will sort of relate to. That is a different thing. It also can be very easily done with one of these. A filter. An actual filter. I don't know why everybody and their mama, okay, so your computer is calculating stuff, you're trying to send a stream. Why make your computer suffer? Your phone is calculating stuff and trying to live stream. Why make your phone suffer? If you just want to look cuter than you already look, go to the store and just write this down. Ask for a Tiffin. I hate that brand. I use higher brand, but I'm not going to scare you. So use Tiffin because it's the cheapest. Use a Tiffin Black Pro Mist filter. Check out a 1/8 stop and a 1/4 stop. One of those two, and then just rotate it slowly onto your lens and go, hey, I'm cute again. Yeah. You know why Instagram calls it filter? Because of filters. That's why. So if you're just trying to look cuter, go get yourself a 1/4 stop. Even Marshall was telling everybody yesterday, oh, get yourself a Black Pro Mist filter. And first thing is like, where'd you learn that, Marshall? And number two, yeah, just use a real filter. It'll cost you like $40 to $50 and it'll be fine.
Cool. Well, I've learned something. I haven't got any filters. So
you don't
amateur
need
hour over here.
your room looks great. You know what? All it really helps for me in this particular case is it adds more highlightation to my lights back there, right? Otherwise, they're very harsh, right? So I wanted more highlightation in my lights because it gives it that sort of, that vibe. Because in the DJ space, we just press a button and all smoke comes out. Everyone's stop pressing the fogger. So that just add a little highlightation. Okay, so Irene's, the answer to your question is, and this is super funny, I do not like Epoch camera ever. It has always been buggy, but I don't know if Mike's nice. He probably might not say that. He's a nice guy. It always crashes. It's always buggy. So, yeah, this will be fine.
I mean, I do have an answer to this, which is that I think Epoch is trying to be too clever and create a live video feed and compress it and give it to a thing on the computer and then it decompresses it. And there's some other apps that do that. And because I'm much lazier, I've just used Apple's connection. I've just said, "What? I'm not gonna get involved in that because as soon as your memory starts getting squeezed and as soon as the resources start getting, like Apple is motivated to let you plug in an external display to your phone or your iPad, and so they are going to try and keep that connection top notch. So that's why Shoot just literally just leans on that because I do not have the time to troubleshoot my hand-rolled live streaming over some USB third-party framework that connects it. It's just going to get really complicated, really buggy, and I just, it's not something I'm interested in doing. And I find that, just plugging in, using Apple stuff just works really well. And then it's their problem, not my problem, to keep it stable. And I think you see the difference when you're using it.
Yeah, and it makes a whole heck of a lot of sense, right? When you think of it from that perspective, right? Not trying to do too much, it also will sort of help out, right? A lot of people, well, just in general, we tend to use like way too much. Oh, this is good, so adding 3 more of this must be better. No, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. Okay, so let's do something. Let's show people the sort of the Shoot app. Let me set us up so that we can put Michael ready. I think I did this. This is where it's just Michael, and There we go. Yay!
So, in answer, I'm on my Canon EOS 5D, but this is Shoot. This is the view from Shoot, and I've got it set up so that the controls don't disappear. So usually the controls would disappear. And so this is what the user interface of Shoot looks like. The camera, the numbers are the different cameras. I finally got myself an iPhone 13 Pro a couple of weeks ago, so I can finally make this a little bit better. And because it was the selection of the cameras. And then this is with Shoot Pro, so there's a few more icons down the side than you'd see if you just had the new version. But literally, you plug in over USB, and it's going to show up as a camera in Ecamm. I've also made a little desktop driver, so you can download something that all it really does is like crops it to the right aspect ratio and just makes it show up in Zoom as well. But if you're using Ecamm, you can just plug it in over USB and like crop it a little bit, because it is just sharing the screen. So here's Shoot, and then there's if you want to get sort of fancy, you can tap on this on the top right, and you get some advanced controls, and you've got things like the color set, that the brightness and things, and we can set the white balance, for example. So I've got that on like the Kelvin white balance there for you if you want to change that, and you just press and hold. Well, if you've got a certain look that you like, you can create a preset for that, and that'll take a screenshot, and then if you ever want to recall those settings, you can come back into that. Or if you just want to clear one setting, you can just long press on there, and that's going to kind of put it back to normal. Hopefully, yes, it did it. That's on the Apple side, that delay. I promise. We've got things like the ability to bring the microphone in is a button there. We've got this is quite fun. Tora Tech Guy introduced me to Office Hours Global, and they have this Fenwick frame. So if you want to kind of see the framing, the optimum framing, you can select the different grids, and just you can try out some different ones if you just want to do that. And then the and then if you're interested in portrait mode, or you might you can pull down, go into here, portrait on, and that's going to give you the blurry background effect within Shoot. So that's going to give you that sort of cinematic mode thing. And then this is the fun feature, is the ability to just draw on your screen and sort of go, yes, okay, that's good. And I like to use this on the iPad, and there's an undo button if you accidentally put a thing in the wrong place. You can change the colors. If the legibility is not great, you can tap on there, and that'll just darken the background, so you can sort of do that. And I like to have an iPad set up to the side. If I'm sort of doing something where I want to illustrate something, you can just double tap. And also, if you were to say, oh yeah, we can switch the cameras as well. I'll just show you. I just thought I was going to show you that. It's my other room, back camera. And if something's moving, you can just pause the video and then just say, okay, here's my skinny wrist. Let's just draw around that, and then you can just do a 2-finger tap, and it's going to be moving again. Double tap to clear, and I've just got everything quite gestury. So that's most of what's in it, to be honest. It's and then I suppose I would also mention that I've since the things happened, I've had so many emails with people asking for different features, that there's quite a few kind of esoteric features in settings for like different kind of things that you might want to do. So if there's anything that you can't do in it that maybe needs a little setting just to let you do it, then if you want 60 frames a second, if you want things like that. Natural framing is a funny one. It was I like it. I like this because natural framing is some vloggers wanting to go out and wanting to hold their hand up, their phone up, and sort of talk to the camera, and they were going, oh, the framing's off, it's an offset, it's weird. And I was like, I don't understand what you're talking about. I just put the image on the screen. I discovered through those conversations that what Apple does in their camera app, on the Face app, they actually move the picture across towards the camera so it feels more like a mirror, and crop the image. So I ended up having to do that just so that it felt a bit more like a mirror. And it's one of those invisible things that Apple does for usability that you would never guess until it wasn't there. So there's loads of little things like that built into it. And then
it's funny because of that. You're right. The natural framing thing is just super odd for at first, but then once you get it, you understand what they're doing, right?
Yeah. It was such a strange, because I had this back and forth on Twitter DMs going, I don't know what you mean. It's just literally it's that, and it was like, oh god, Apple's doing this crazy thing. So I just put them in. And then in terms of connecting, I'm showing you it. Here I'm showing it to you connected on the over USB. And if you ever do want to show anyone how it works, you have to be connected over USB for anyone to ever see the controls. Because if you connect over HDMI or AirPlay, then I can do an extra fancy trick and just make it definitely not have any controls over it. So when we're doing this, we are mirroring the phone screen. So you have to kind of make sure you can set it to go into do not disturb, so you don't get any interruptions or anything like that. But I have videos about doing all that kind of stuff on the website. So
when you connect over AirPlay, right? What is the you just pull it down and do the standard issue commands from the okay.
Yeah, you just if obviously HDMI, you can just, so it'll be this button, which I have to be careful with when it's connected over. But you see, I have Air Server running on my laptop. Apple added AirPlay support in I think Big Sur, but it's really hard to deal with that. The reason I recommend Air Server is because it uses I don't know how many people are familiar, but there's a technology called Siphon that allows you to do a real time, like a really efficient way of transferring the video between apps, and Ecamm just sees Siphon feeds. So if you stream to Air Server, then it will just come through as Siphon into Ecamm 1080p, whatever the frame rate.
One of the first reviews I ever made for when I was writing for AOL, when I first got hired, one of the first reviews I had to make was Air Server. And at that time, it was like Air Server and then Parrot and Reflector. Those were like all of the common apps at the time just to get image from your phone to the computer. And then Apple goes, oh, yeah, we'll just use a lightning cable. And it's like, why didn't y'all do that in the first place, damn it? Like before you had to go through all machinations. Here's one other thing that Michael didn't talk about that happens to be one of my favorites. And let me see if I can make this work. Let's see. Can you see this? I don't know which one of these cameras is looking at what. There it is. Oh, no, that's not the right one. No, this is what I'm trying to do. Click the start. There we go. All right, listen. You can control it from your arm. Come on, man. Come on. That thing is probably one of the coolest aspects of the whole thing, is being able to control it from your wrist. Like,
I forget features. It's crazy. Like,
Come on, that is the best thing. Because, like, okay, if you're doing a single person thing or like a solo thing, and what we're doing is like we're able to my arm here. We're able to pick which of the 4 cameras that Apple's built in, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. You're able to adjust the zoom, exposure value, ISO, shutter, and then white balance. So if you are doing a recording to your computer and you're doing it by yourself as a stand-up, let's just say, right? Yeah. So you got your phone set up, you got your, Rode Wireless Go connected to your neck, you're in the spot, you got your position, duct tape on the ground, like going back and forth is going to drive you batty. From here, you can just think, hey, okay, everybody, it's me, Doc. You know how we do. So, that's really cool. Like, I really appreciate you adding the watch implementation, and watch is just getting faster and faster and faster.
Yeah, it's one of those things when you need it, you're so grateful for it. When you just want to be back and frame the shot without having to fiddle with it. One thing I didn't do is make it show the real-time preview like the camera app, but I thought, well, no, the computer's the real-time preview. We don't need to do that.
You don't need to do that, right? I'd rather have the controls, because at the overhead, it's up there, right? You see people all the time, like, this is India, and she's like 5'0" trying to touch something in the ceiling. She's like, let me get it. And so now you can just with your watch, just ding, 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 ding. So that's kind of incredible.
When you need it, you need it.
One other thing in there that I think is important for everyone to see is if you go inside the settings, one of the other ones is automatic zoom the camera to the right size, because there it is, fill entire stream, fill entire screen. That's another cool setting.
I'm gonna say don't use that setting though, and crop.
You broke it?
Because you're gonna get, no, it's like, because you're gonna get less camera image overall. You're gonna get a cropped image. So really, you're just sort of, and I've seen a couple of tutorials, but I would prefer people crop into the image.
Take the button out. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, it's one of those things. When you need it, you might need it, but it's a trade-off. You're going to lose some It's not a full frame sensor anymore. It's going to be a bit cropped.
India's over here lying about how tall she is. It's not 5'5". We have a UK guy on, so you got to go figure out how many hands you are.
No, hands.
I'm
We say
joking.
feet. We still say
joking.
feet and inches here, so we're not even metric.
How
for some
many
reason.
stones? There you go.
Stones.
And here's a other cool thing. Like I love the action from the whole control it with your phone, right? I love the fact that with AirPlay you can connect to multiple things at one time, if you will.
Yeah.
But again, here's an app that a lot of people in our community use, and here's an app where if you need to ask the developer something, he's in the community. So you can just, hey, Mike, I got a question. And he's like, yes. So he's just there. It really does help out because, again, I don't know why so many people, I guess I know why, Elgato. A lot of people defaulted to like Epoch, and I kept telling people from way back in the beginning, don't use that mess. It's horrible. I hate it. I just don't like it. I'm not supposed to say that. Because Elgato's our friends, but I just don't like that app. It's not fun.
Yeah. It's after my time, so I didn't really try it. So I'd already made shoot, so I was like, problem solved. But yeah, Elgato is so good usually, so it's surprising that they wouldn't just make their lives easy.
People don't realize when you have a company of that size, like they made it for a very particular thing, and then right now they're doing really good at working on Stream Deck and pedals and cameras. So I don't want them to stop doing what they're doing to go play with Epoch camera and fix it. Leave it broke. We don't care. We can pick something better. But stay focused on Stream Deck because that's the one that's the most important.
I love my little Stream Deck. I got a little one to get my started. But,
got to stop picking on India because my box came in today, and this has my little Stream Deck to Loop Deck connector, so that I can put them both in one place instead of having them on opposites. Like right now, I'm doing the whole co-pilot thing, one on each side of the table, but finally I can connect them together, and that has me super excited. So, all right, I wanted to make sure that we cover Beat Sheet because first of all, I love the name because it just reminds me of Beat Street Breakdowns.
Yeah, I like it. I like that.
I like that. That was my thing. I was a break dancer, and that's why my joints don't work now. So let's talk about Beat Sheet. Like, what was your idea behind it? And so what was the point? Let's get it.
So I do a lot of user interviews, and I was talking to a guy he actually did a real estate live stream where he'd interview different people, and he said when he got the email from me saying, "Can I talk to you?" He was like, "This guy must be out of his mind that he wants to talk to me." But we ended up having a really interesting conversation, and he came from a broadcasting background, and I was asking him like, what sort of thing do you wish you had? And he said, I just wish I had a way of planning a show, organizing it, and going like next, and everything is sort of under control, because Ecamm's great, but he had like 100 scenes and he had to remember what was what and just follow that format. And I love a bit of, as a musician as well, it's a thing that I've done in the past where Ableton Live, if anyone's used that, it's great, but if you just want to kind of step through a song, it's not the most straightforward thing. So actually, like a few years ago, I made a thing so I could sort of step through the song sections, and I thought, that's got echoes of this, so I'm just going to spend some time working on this idea. And so it's the simplest thing in the world, really. I'll show you this.
Hold on, let me switch
this
you up.
image. Oh yeah, sorry.
Boom, there we go.
I'll show you this. Maybe I'll just zoom in a bit. So this thumbnail is quite useful. So you just plan out your show. And actually, like, it's just good because it's quite a good place to plan out a show as well, because it's easy to just sort of jump in and not have a plan. But if you've got, it sort of encourages you to plan a show, but then each of these drop downs selects a different Ecamm scene. So you can say, and because I've been shooting a podcast for the last 4 years. We just finished one and started another one, but that had a sort of structure to it. So there was an intro, and then there was an introduction where we talk over some music, and then it would go to titles, and then it would come in, and I have these music breaks. So there's this whole structure, and I was finding that a lot of overhead to remember which button to press. So I just wanted to make it really simple to just go next, and I can just be present in the conversation and not having so much overhead over being like the line producer of the show. And And then a couple of other things that I've added are the ability to use it as a teleprompter. So now all the videos, if you see me, I've put a video up in the Ecamm community on Facebook or something. I will have my beat sheet, so I can sort of work out the phrasing. I'll do it a few times. I'll tidy it up, and I'll have it on my teleprompter. With I use at the moment I'm using an iPad connected with Duet, which works okay, but I can now sort of look into camera, step through my show, and just do if I need to go to the desktop, it goes to the desktop view. If it comes back, it comes back the scene that has the graphic that I want to show, and it's just it just lets you kind of simplify that one aspect. All this is like shoot like anything else. I'm just trying to find. It's so overwhelming producing live shows, producing a stream, especially once you start getting a bit more ambitious. Any way I can kind of reduce the mental overhead and just let you be you is kind of what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to do here. And if I'm worrying about is my camera going to stay connected, or are my audio levels okay, or whatever it is that you've got to worry about as a sort of solo stream producer, this was just, I found this really useful, even just for myself, just to be able to kind of tame that structure a little bit and plan better as well as a byproduct, which is actually really useful because I can get a bit bad about planning, because you can end up recording and editing, whereas this way I edit text and then I re-record and then I've just got something I can just upload.
It's kind of funny. It's like the opposite of Descript.
I just discovered Descript as well. So as I said that, I was like, I've been using that. I've been quite liking it. But now
it's amazing. And so in a way, if you could get like beat sheet in the hands of people who use the script, it'd be awesome, because you're doing both sides, right? You got your script part kind of sorted together, right? You build it up with beat sheet. It's pulling your scenes for you on the fly as you get to your various sections. And then when you go to do the edit, your edit time will be cut in half even more, because you spent less time going, that's all, folks, right? You can get it sort of like how you want it. It is incredible. And like, I am a little bit more of a freeform guy, but there are definitely occasions where we have only X amount of time, and where I'm starting to notice and where it's going to come in handy, people, all of you guys creating short form videos, you would assume short form videos are easier to shoot and easier to edit because they're so short. Nope. Exactly the opposite. When I was doing commercial work, we would spend 8, 16, sometimes 20 hours shooting a commercial. In film production, I could spend way less time shooting an hour-long show than it does to shoot a 30-second commercial, because there's no space for, mistakes or gaps or talking and pull the Obama pause. Yeah, you don't get to do that. so you got to be like, da. And so it's actually a lot harder. So this will come in really handy for trying to do that 30-second or 15-second short form video, 1 minute short form video, because you have the right content in a row. So super handy.
Yeah. And conversely, like, when I started recording a podcast, we recorded it all, and I just spent 6 hours editing it and editing out every and r, and it can sort of become a bit less natural. Whereas this way around, you tighten it up without losing the humanity of it. So there's an and r here and there, but it feels more real. It's not like jump cutting every 10 seconds, 2 seconds. Which
I was showing my people that the other day in Final Cut, in shorts, like, you might remove all the and ahs, but please don't do this to your regular videos, because it just comes out like it's really bad. Yeah. Michelle wants to know, she said, looking to you shoot directly with Zoom. She wants to know if Command Shift N directly still works.
I don't know what Command Shift N does, so
yeah, I guess that changes it to a new camera. I don't use Zoom like that.
With Zoom, like, usually, to be honest, I use Zoom via Ecamm, so I use the Ecamm virtual camera. But there is a Mac driver that will make shoot show up in Zoom as, it will say shoot USB camera, and so that should work like any other camera. So whatever Command Shift N does, it should do it with the shoot thing. But if you just do, if you go to squares.tv/shoot+zoom, then it will give you some information about doing that sort of thing.
All right, let's get that shoot plus Zoom. Let me give people the actual link. Dun, 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 dun. I gotta say that not for nothing, but Safari in Ventura is stupid fast.
Camera switch. Okay. Command Shift N is cameras.
Camera switch. Okay. Yeah. See, it's funny because Michelle's asking that question as a Zoomer. Everybody here is Ecamm. 90% of us have Stream Deck. We just press a button. So and that's why we all switch in Ecamm, Michelle. So that's why, almost everybody here is all Ecamm. And if you're not using Ecamm to run your Zooms, you should. It just makes life a lot better. Here it is. I got the link. Let me paste it into the old box down here because Paul's making coffee. I don't know what Paul's doing. I'm teasing Paul. Keels, I have something to show you when we get to the live stream today because you're making fun of my typing. She doesn't like my clickety keyboard, so I'm like, you're in trouble.
I could have brought the link up here, couldn't I? And just shown it. Oh, there it is. Instructions.
But now I got the actual link they can click. Dean wants to know, does BeatSheet have any built-in integrations? Like, what do you mean
Dean.
Integrations?
Well, Ecamm is the main integration. There's an app I am actually working on an idea where it'll send out a sort of graphics siphon feed, but that's for another day. I've been doing some stuff with graphics and metal shaders recently that I'm going to start bringing in.
Oh my goodness, the new development, the what is it, Xcode 14, the new ability to just grab an image and then hold it and just suck the background off of it, just built in. I'm like, I'm going to do all kind of stupid stuff with that.
Yeah, for sure. I was like, did you just drag a dog from a picture?
Yeah, it was funny. So everybody was worried about the computers and stuff, and I often think a lot more about the OS and the the Apple OS, the iPad OS, and then the iPhone OS, because no matter what your program's running in front of it, like your OS has to be able to do a certain amount of cool things too. So some of the things that they added, like for instance, this might be something you could work into BeatSheet because they're making it now where we have a collaborative whiteboard, if you will, right? If there is a way as an interviewer for me to send you a BeatSheet that is, sort of shared, I can have you look at it on your iPad and then me on my iPad, be able to send notes to you back and forth, be like, okay, audience is getting restless, let's tie this up. Like I'd be able to communicate with you through the iPad, while I'm doing this, and it really subtle. Especially pencil style drawings.
Yeah. So something I do, but just to sort of answer the other, So yes, definitely that kind of back channel during a live, and I originally I actually asked the Ecamm guys, like, can I make this integrate with chat? But then I realized actually it's probably more useful if I integrate it with Slack or something, so that you can have a back channel through Slack or Discord or something. But I love the idea of being able to share a whiteboard somehow, but that's going to stretch my brain a bit more. The other integration would be that I have a Stream Deck plug-in as well. Like it's a very minimal one, but it lets you go next and previous on the Stream Deck. But that's it for now. To be honest, I'm interested in hearing from people, like how you want to use it, and because I'll just throw things into it. Just, as long as it.
Dude, I think it is very cool that you're willing to try stuff and test stuff out. This is something that I think all of our streamers can learn from Mr. Michael. Let me put us in over here. I see the funny thing about Universal Control though is when I need to move the mouse all the way across screen, I got to go across 3 computers.
Well, you say that, like, I have to say, like, it sort of touches on one of the biggest things I've learned the last 3 years, like running a business, whatever I'm doing. Like, I haven't had to work for the man for 3 years now. And I've had to learn a lot. I've never been like business savvy or anything, but the best thing I've learned is that because I came from a client-centered background, and you had to perfect everything and make it perfect and have amazing branding and do all this stuff before you could ever show anyone anything. And what I've learned over time is, no, it's those little cool little ideas that take me an afternoon to put together. I can put that out. I can make a video showing people how to use it, even if it's a bit rough around the edges. And people, if they find that useful, like the delay calculator is, that is so much more valuable. That gives people so much more value. And there's no point like polishing and procrastinating away on stuff. You just need to keep over and over again putting this out, putting that out. And it's a lot more fun to just like try something out. I haven't sort of spent, the last app, I spent 9 months developing it. I spent the next year with Shoot was taking off, but I was like, well, no, I'm going to stick to the plan. And I kept trying to promote this thing and no one wanted it. And I just wasted a lot of time. I learned a lot, don't get me wrong. Like I had to go through that. But the best thing is just keep moving forward. Try something. When something does stick, you'll start getting a lot of emails about it, and then you'll know what to improve about.
Then you got it right. So I love that. Work it through live, people. Like it's okay. Like no one's, even if somebody. Okay, the problem is we do a lot of machination and bending over and worrying about the occasional troll. Right? They're normally like 1 per 100 or 1 per 1,000 or something really minute. Like it really doesn't matter. Just ignore them. And no matter what, no matter how good, even when it's perfect, somebody will troll. Just go today.
I've got some stories about
Oh my
trolls.
goodness,
I
right?
really went through, that year in Berlin, like I went through the ringer on trolls that period. If you're singing and there's not many people watching, some people do some mean stuff and you don't understand, but just don't feed the trolls. Don't feed the trolls. Ignore them. They go mental. They explode, and then you just keep doing what you're doing. Don't let them affect you.
And it was funny because when you first talking about your time in Berlin, I was like, yeah, that's a pretty underrated '80s band, but they're from the United States. They just named Berlin. All right, Mr. Mike, what can they do to show you some support? How can they find you? And yeah, are you fishing for guests for your podcast?
Do you know what? I am. Look,
I'm trying to help you out.
Just come to squares.tv, and the thing is that most of the stuff I'm going to try and get your email address, and then I try and email everyone individually if they sign up. If it's to use the delay calculator, if it's to download BeatSheet, if it's anything, there's a little thing that says what sort of thing you're doing, and I'll sort of look at that and I'll send you an email. And if you're doing something weird, just feel free, just michael@squares.tv. If you want to, we've got a podcast, Can You See My Screen podcast, which is where we're talking about getting a bit more serious about doing online teaching and training and stuff. And we're doing that. And we're always looking for guests for that.
Nice.
But features, just drop me an email. This is what I'm doing. I'm working on Shoot, I'm working on BeatSheet, I'm working on some other secret stuff. The next thing's for DJs, so that I think so. If people like it, if they don't, or come to squares.tv, maybe help me put some life into this Fix My Video thing. I built this thing to see if people would share their share what their video looks like, and I can make that narrow. You don't have to.
I got it.
Let me just put it in the middle. This is just upload a little clip of what your setup looks like. And then I've just built a little thing where people can, trusted mentors. I'm not letting trolls in. I have to say, yeah, this person said something useful. But a really kind environment where just upload a little clip of what your setup looks like, and we'll try and kind of crowdsource a little bit of wisdom about how you can tighten up your lighting or your whatever it is, if it's a technical thing, if it's a creative branding presentation thing. So that's kind of the last thing I put together. I wouldn't mind having a few more people on that, just either posting your videos or what it will do is if you make a suggestion in the thing, it'll send me an email and I'll be like, okay, this isn't a troll, and I'll just approve you as a mentor on there, and then you can help people. But yeah, just squares.tv, just join the Discord as well.
If you get any hate mail from Sylvia, it's my fault because she called me when it was live, and when people call me live, I always put them on. A couple weeks ago, we got a tech call from B&H. They called to check on an order. I just put them on the stream because I just think everybody should know that B&H does call you if they need to talk to you before you place an order. So Sylvia's going to be very angry that we put her on, but she just made so much new merch. I just wanted to give her a shot. Mr. Michael, one last question for you, and then you can go upstairs and chase the kids around. I just have to know the answer to this question because I think I have it in my head, but I just want to be right. So, why squares.tv?
Oh, God. Well, the short answer is I had the domain and it seemed like... the long answer is in 2013, I was trying to play a lot of gigs. I had a night and I just always liked the idea of squares as a sort of digital music creativity. Everything ultimately turns into these little squares, and so to me it was this sort of idea of, so my club night in East London was called Squares, and then when I was in Berlin I was like, I want to buy Squares TV and make it about video, and then I never really built anything on it, and so it's been a domain I've had kicking around. So I thought, no, this can be Squares TV can be live streaming and stuff like that, because your face gets turned by the camera into little squares and then they get sprayed into the ether. Yes. And also Instagram squares and all those different squares. Everything's squares on computers. It's sort of a digital creativity thing. So
that's what I thought you were going for, the sort of married connection between pixels are square, and whenever you do anything in pixels, we're all dealing with squares. And back in the day, if you were doing anything nerdy whatsoever, right, people would call you square. And we became the cool. So then we kind of took it back, when they had the TV show Square Pegs and a couple other different shows, we kind of took it back. Like, we're the cool ones, not you. You think you guys are cool, but you're doing the same stuff everyone else is doing. We're doing something fun, different, innovative, so forth, so on, et cetera. So I thought you were doing a little play on words there, and now you can claim it. Now you can claim it.
I'm always trying to be cool or something, but I would go so nerdy on this. So it gives me a little bit of a license to kind of go.
Yeah, exactly.
So deep into the nerdy stuff if given a chance, and that's with video, audio, like DJ music, all that kind of thing. But then I need my outlet for coding talk as well. So that's I think that tends to, this is I don't go as far as talking about the code, but certainly everything else up to that point.
Super cool, man. I appreciate you for coming on. It's been really fun. Don't forget, Ecamm people, you can check out Shoot. You can get it directly from Mr. Michael. I'm sure that, as a matter of fact, I know Katie is putting it into the Ecamm Perks page on the fam side, so you can go over to Ecamm Fam Perks, and Paul has all of that in the chat for you because he always has to remind me what the right words are. I work here and I can never remember. So it's really, really cool, right? Thank you. Tell him, Stephen, the geeks shall inherit the earth. That was one of my favorite sayings back in the day. But yes, this is really cool. I appreciate the work you put in, and if you need anything from us, of course, Ecamm's always down to help you. And thank you so much for making stuff cool for our people to use.
Thank you. Well, thank you for inviting me on. It's been fun. It's been great.
All right, if you guys ever want to nerd out, you can nerd out in Michael's Discord. And then, as you guys probably heard from Keely and a couple other places, we got some cool stuff coming up for you soon. So just pay attention, folks, and get ready. We are trying to make it easier for you to go find places to nerd out with your select group of people, even if your select group of people is moderators, Paul. You can have a whole party just for moderators. Thank you, everybody, Ecamm fan, for showing up today. We really could not do this without you guys. You guys bring so much coolness to the party. You make it easy, and honestly, you make us look good. At the end of the day, you folks all make us look good. So that's part of the fun in and of itself. Any last things you want to tell the folks at home, Mr. Michael?
Oh, good. Just have a nice rest of your day, and feel free to reach out whenever. All good.
All right, and then go Queens Park. Thank you, guys.
Queens Park.
Aloha, guys. We'll see you soon. Don't forget, demo is coming up for you on Friday, as well as affiliate training, and we will see you on the flip. Aloha.
This was a fam. Ecamm fam is the name of the sham. This is a jam for the Ecamm fam. Ecamm fam is the name of the sham. This is a jam for the Ecamm fam.